When we think of censorship, a few things might come to mind, like profanity, nudity, speech, and media, such as news broadcasters, newspapers, or magazines. But one of the largest media used today is almost always forgotten at first: the censorship within the internet. Or should I say, the evasion of censorship within the internet. Let's explore how the internet has transformed the exchange of information. Where do you go to find information on a project?
I'll usually go to Google Scholar, Wikipedia, the internet.
The internet has become the #1 source for information. It has taken on the characteristics of media before it to create the most widespread, uncensored medium in the world. It has become a dictionary, an encyclopedia, a news broadcaster, a newspaper, a magazine, a book, a music library, a movie store, an arcade, a retailer, a bank, a travel agent, a doctor, an educational tool, and it doesn't stop there. That is only the beginning of the multitude of capabilities of the internet. The most important underlying technical idea which it embodies is that of open architecture networking. The initial creation of the internet let different networks interact and exchange information, but because of the technical ease with which individuals found it to place their own information in a permanent manner, the internet has more consumer-generated content than ever. Whereas capitalism has always been able to control the information system, it's now proven to be a little more difficult with the internet. As consumer-generated content floods the internet, capitalism is losing its once tight grip on informational control, leading to informational freedom of the mass audience. To quote Michael Strangelove in Empire of Mind, "The expanded expressive freedoms and unconstrained communicative capabilities of the audience will not be easily stifled." What we first need to understand is that there is no single filter that all content must pass through before being put online. It is a type of self-censorship that the internet must abide by. There are different types of censorship: pervasive, meaning extreme levels of censorship; substantial, meaning moderate levels of censorship; and nominal, meaning low levels of censorship. A few countries that are subject to pervasive internet censorship are Iran, North Korea, and China, where content is heavily censored and consists of freedom of speech, democracy, pornography, police brutality, certain blogging and search engine websites, and content that criticizes the government. To make sure, when checked through a Chinese firewall, these URL addresses were inaccessible. When dealing with pervasive internet censorship, certain countries have been known to even imprison persons who actively oppose an established opinion, policy, or structure, so-called dissidents. A few countries that are subject to nominal internet censorship are Canada, England, and the United States of America. While Canada and England run on services called Clean Feed, which identify illicit content, and even though the United States of America doesn't run on such a service, all content is subject to laws concerning libel, intellectual property, and pornography. Other ways to control information is through police or authorities who create lists of harmful content to be filtered out. Search engines, such as Google, have workers that search for harmful content and then filter it from their searches. A more simple way to block harmful content is by putting up firewalls, a technique commonly used by parents and school administrations to block harmful content from reaching their children. How is it uncontrolled? Let's look at software such as Evasion, which is a web proxy designed to help users bypass content filtering systems set up in certain countries. Another way in which information is uncontrolled is the ability to create our own content. Whoever can post whatever on the internet. It might end up on a list of content to be filtered out of systems, but until then it is available for all to see, and if you have the right software, it will remain available to see. Along with this issue comes numbers. There are more internet sites being posted every day than there are filters to keep them out of systems. Capitalism is a controlling system, and the internet is a public sphere in which people will not stand to be censored in speech, expression, or access to information. Many acts that try to control censorship on the internet are deemed unconstitutional and violate rights such as the freedom of expression, including freedom of the press and other media of communication, in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, or freedom of speech and freedom of press in the United States Bill of Rights. It is then obvious that while it is unethical to censor the internet according to our human rights, illegal content deals with the authority of the law. Theorists in the last century couldn't fathom the mass audience as such a large source of universal content. And even some theories today are failing to grasp this notion. Geert Loving seems to think that online information exchange between people doesn't materialize to the same impact on the economy in reality. This thought doesn't work out to understand the social change that the internet is creating. The predicted outcome is one in which we're living. The free flow of information over the internet is our right as human beings, and we will continue to fight censorship. That capitalism is a system that works with corporations to control markets and shape social values only furthers its loss of control when it sees that the markets have shifted, with the audience as creators and distributors of content over the internet. To quote Strangelove one last time, capitalism's substantial power rests in its ability to control the meaning of things in the consumer's life world. Yet online, capitalism's mechanisms of definitional control are powerless against the internet's new mode of cultural transmission.